Hello and welcome to today's special Gulf News webinar, Grenada, Citizenship by Investment and Global Mobility with the option to reside in the United States. As we look forward to 2021, many are determined to shake off the economic instability that has defined 2020, seeking greater global business opportunities as well as a safety net for themselves and for their families. Well, look no further than the stunning islands of the Caribbean. Demand for second passports for the picturesque island nation of Grenada continues to soar as individuals look to make lasting investments in the security of their future and open up a world of possibilities. Grenada offers one of the top-ranked citizenship by investment programs that boasts tax benefits, travel advantages, a family-inclusive approach, healthcare and infrastructure, as well as the option to reside in the United States. Add to all of that the opportunity to become a citizen of one of the most beautiful countries in the world by investing in a world-renowned, award-winning resort, and it all just makes you want to pinch yourself every time you realize that this is home. My name is Sally Musa, and I'll be your moderator for today's discussion as we're joined by two distinguished speakers who will be taking us through the extensive advantages of Grenada's CBI program. Mohammed Azaria is Managing Director of Range Developments. Established in 2012, Range Developments is one of the world's leading citizenship by investment facilitators, having assisted more than 4,000 individuals to obtain citizenship in the Caribbean. We're also joined by the Honourable Peter David, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Minister of Labour in Grenada. Hello and welcome to you both.
Good morning, good morning. Good to see you, good to hear you, good to be here.
Yes, good morning and good afternoon. Now, before we do jump in, just to let our viewers know that if you have any questions for our speakers during the webinar, please do type those into the questions tab, which is at the bottom of your screen, so that we can aim to have those answered towards the end in a Q&A. Now, Mohammed, I would love to start with you. First of all, happy birthday.
Thank you very much, Sally. Appreciate the wishes and glad to be with you today.
So great to have you on this auspicious occasion. But, very much as you say, citizenship by investment is all about living for today and planning for tomorrow. This year, as we have all seen, it's been an incredible roller coaster, if nothing else, with economic upheaval that's really tested social and political systems across the world. So I'd love to get your perspective on how 2020 has changed people's priorities and what makes CBI such a compelling investment.
Sure, Sally, and I think you're spot on with that point. 2020 has really changed people's priorities, and it's provided an inflection point. People have been in lockdowns, and they've seen challenges that they never thought they would have experienced. And those challenges spread from social, economic, political challenges. And it varies from country to country, and the intensity of those challenges varies. Grace of God, here in the UAE, we haven't wanted for anything on the healthcare side, or there's been sufficient food security. But you just go 3 hours east to the subcontinent, there's been a public health system failure. You go into Africa, there's been people on the streets because of the aftermath of COVID. And, what I foresee is that governments across the world are going to have to raise taxes on their nationals, on their high net worth individuals, because they have to pay for all the stimulus, which has been required to put a bandage on the economy, which has resulted as a consequence of COVID. Now, when you look at these challenges, one way to alleviate some of these anxieties is to have a second citizenship, or to invest in obtaining second citizenship. And I've said frequently, and I'll say again, for the high net worth investor living in an emerging market, it's no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. And why do I say this? Well, I've been in this business since 2012. We've helped close to 4,000 individuals during that time obtain second citizenship. And there's been 3 or 4 reasons why individuals require a second citizenship. First is it provides a comfort blanket from some of those anxieties. If you're living in an emerging market, you might find political unrest has increased significantly, and that environment doesn't work for you and your family anymore. So it provides you a plan B, a comfort blanket if the winds of political power change and you find yourself persecuted against. The borders across the world are as high as they've ever been, and I foresee they'll stay like that into 21, 22, and 23. And visa-free travel becomes very necessary for the high net worth individual who's looking to manage his affairs and manage his business. And then where Grenada really comes into its own, not only does it provide a comfort blanket, not only does it provide the ability to travel the world, but it also provides the ability to relocate to the mature economy of the United States, which a number of individuals find as a very attractive proposition at the moment.
Absolutely. And when we are talking citizenship by investment, Grenada consistently ranks as one of the best destinations in the world. So do talk us through why that is and some of the fantastic advantages that the country does offer.
Sure. And Sally, let's look at the competitive landscape. When you say it ranks as one of the best, I would go as far as saying today it is the best. Because if you look at the citizenship by investment industry, you've had the European programs of Malta and Cyprus being put on pause, which were very attractive programs. So in terms of citizenship by investment programs, it's really the domain of the Caribbean today. Out of the 5 Caribbean jurisdictions which offer second citizenship solutions, Grenada is the only one which permits the ability to go and live in the United States under their E2 visa waiver program, which the minister can talk about the history and how Grenada obtained this benefit. But it really has become a viable solution, not only for the high net worth individual who wishes to obtain a second citizenship, who can travel the world, whether that's the United Kingdom, Schengen, Russia, and uniquely China, but also you have the ability to go and live in the United States by investing in your own business. There's no minimum, and it can be done within 6 to 8 weeks. So that is a really valuable benefit, especially given President Trump seems to have made redundant all the other sorts of ways into the U.S. in an expeditious fashion. But really, where I will dwell on a little bit more is that a second citizenship today can provide a very unique opportunity for a high net worth individual to manage his affairs in a tax efficient manner. So Sally, if you look at it, there's concern from people from the subcontinent that there's going to be a citizenship-based taxation being introduced in 2021. Murmurs of it already came into the last Indian budget. So a number of high net worth individuals in the UAE, NRIs, non-resident Indians, are looking to change their citizenship from their country of birth, which is India, to Grenada, surrender their Indian citizenship, so they're not caught in the trap of global taxation. And because the trap of global taxation also comes with the additional trapdoor of an exit tax, which means if you wait till a certain time, you have to pay a fee to actually give up your citizenship of your country of birth, which is what the US system is. So, there's 3 or 4 reasons, whether that's travel, security, taxation, general family planning, why Grenada has become so popular in the past 3 to 6 months. And that all coincides with all the various changes that the government made, which the good minister can talk about at the end of 2019, which really enhance the acceptability of the program.
And coming to you now, Honourable Minister Peter David, for those who are not familiar with your beautiful country, talk us through those advantages that Grenada, as a destination, offers investments and their families.
Thank you for having me again. And Mohammed, I want to wish you a happy birthday. Hope you have a wonderful day. And I look forward to working with you. Now, thanks for having me here. I'm always quite excited to talk about Grenada because myself, I've lived in several countries, lived in the US, lived in Canada, lived in London, but it's always Grenada I'm coming back to. For those who don't know Grenada, of course, we're quite close to the United States, 3 hours flight away from New York. from Miami, 4 hours away from New York. We have access through British Airways to London, Virgin Atlantic. We have American Airlines, JetBlue. So there's a very close relation, a physical relationship between Grenada and the United States being located in that part of the world. We have a very stable economy. In fact, before COVID, we were experiencing growth every year, 5%, 6% growth, and one of the best economies in the Caribbean region. Of course, COVID has come and COVID has had an impact, particularly because of tourism. But we expect that to be back on stream sometime next year. We are preparing for it. That is why we're building hotels. That is why Mohammed is in Grenada building a beautiful new 6 Sense hotel. So the Grenada economy is largely based on tourism, but also agriculture as one of the traditional sectors. Very stable economy, experiencing growth every year. For the COVID period, we have had no deaths. We've had maybe 30-something cases. All of the cases we got were imported because tourism, of course, as I say, is our biggest economic driver. But with respect to where we are with COVID, we're quite good. And that has caused even more people to become interested in coming to Grenada. We have a British colonial history, which means we have a judiciary that's largely based on the British system. The Privy Council in London is our highest court of appeal. We have a very stable political environment. We have a political stability. Every 5 years we have elections and we have stable transitions from one government to the other. A judicial system, very predictable. So Grenada is a place that dependent to a large extent on foreign direct investment. Therefore, our economy is oriented in that direction. It therefore means that we have a regime for foreign investors that is quite attractive. Our government relies on foreign direct investment, and therefore we have a Grenada Industrial Development Corporation that is consistently working towards improving the investment environment. And I must say that over the last 6 months, as Mohammed has indicated, we've been doing more. But over the last several years, the government has been doing everything possible to ensure the stability of investments. So while we attract investments through CBI, we generally attract a lot of foreign investment from Canada, from the US, from Europe, from Dubai, from China, all over the world. Grenada is receiving these investments. So Grenada, apart from wanting to get citizenship, as Mohammed outlined, we welcome persons to come live in Grenada, to invest in Grenada and stay in Grenada. We believe that our population, there's a lot of room for expansion of our population. So even if you do not want to live, I quite frankly encourage you. It's a beautiful place, social stability. Our crime rate is the lowest in this part of the world. People are very safe. And that is why, apart from your investments being safe because of the judicial system and the political system, you are also going to be safe because of the social stability and the fact that we've kept our crime rate very, very low. To the extent that one of the things, I served as tourism minister many years ago, and I was absolutely surprised because I took the beauty, I took the stability, I took everything for granted because I grew up here. And I was amazed at the comments that people consistently made about coming to Grenada, about investing in Grenada, but importantly for me, about living in Grenada. So yes, it's quite stable generally for investments.
Which is fantastic to see and to hear. But interestingly, you're the only country in the Caribbean which has a very special visa that allows people to go and reside and work in the United States. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yes, the E2 visa has an interesting history. Persons who are students of history would know that Grenada, we had a small issue with the United States and the government existing at the time in 1983. President Ronald Reagan decided to come in, intervene, remove the government, and establish what we call a special relationship. As a result of that, we've had this E2 visa, which allows persons, Grenadians, enjoying that special relationship with the United States, are able to apply for E2 visa to the United States, where they can reside. And it's a path to permanent residence. Mohammed knows much more about the details than I do, him being working in that area every day. What I do know on the political side, that E2 is quite stable. There is no threat to our E2 visa. It's been there since 1983. We anticipate it be there for many, many more years to come. In fact, we see no threat to E2. The relationship we enjoy with the United States continues to be quite good. We have as many Grenadians living in the U.S. as live in Grenada. So that's one of the benefits that we find, apart from what Mohammed pointed out, the visa-free travel to China, visa-free travel to Russia, visa-free travel to many countries throughout the world. We believe that to be also attractive proposition. But also, with respect to CBI, we had decided years ago that CBI is a pillar of our economy, meaning it's extremely important to us. So that is why we pay much attention to one, pricing, to make sure it's in the right price range. But I think importantly, we do not sacrifice quantity for quality for quantity. We have I like to call our CBI program the Ferrari of CBI programs, because it may not be the cheapest, but it's certainly the best. And if you want the best, you may pay a little bit more, but we price it at a point that we believe is affordable to those who want to enjoy the advantages that our citizenship offers. So we have quality. We do very good due diligence. We ensure that the persons who have our passport are quality persons, because we want our passport holders to know that when they go to a port of entry, that the immigration officer, the customs officer, looks at the Grenada passport and says, that doesn't have a problem, because we know that the government of Grenada does all of its work to ensure the holders of that passport are persons who deserve to hold the Ferrari passport in the Caribbean. So apart from E2, which is the best which makes us stand out as one of the features of the best passport, there are other features that cause us due diligence, visa-free travel, and other qualities of the Grenada citizenship program that it makes it very attractive. And we've been seeing, as Mohammed said, we've been seeing increases every year in applications for Grenada citizenship.
Fantastic.
And remember, if I may add, holders of our passport enjoy all of the rights of Grenadian citizens, and the rights of Grenadian citizens are entrenched in our constitution. Therefore, they become citizens of Grenada, not CBI citizens or Dubai citizens of Grenada or Kenyan citizens of Grenada. Become citizens of Grenada, just like I am. As I said before, I lived 10 years in the US, 5 years in the United Kingdom, 5 years in Ottawa, Canada. But there's no place in the world I prefer to be than Grenada.
Oh, absolutely incredible, to see that there is really just no difference. You have the citizenship, it means you are part of It is in the stunning 6 senses, La Sagesse in develop 6 senses Grenada.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you, Sally. And I think really the minister probably answered a lot of that in his last response. It has to do with, one, the beauty of the island. I mean, if you travel across the Caribbean, each island has its own physical attributes which really distinguish it. Grenada's are beautiful beaches and incredible scenery, and that's something which really attracted us. We are very fortunate to obtain a site which has 2 beaches, has a lagoon, really has 2 different sort of beaches. One is more angry, one is calm in nature, and it's just an ideal setting for what will be the pearl of the Caribbean when it comes to tourism. So combining that with the airlift into the country twice a week before COVID on British Airways, which will return, same on Virgin Atlantic, 4 or 5 flights out of the US on a daily basis. So it's accessible, and when you get there, you find an incredibly beautiful island, which all bodes well for the investment returns which the project will generate for its investors. So that's on that side of the equation. But on the other side, it has what the minister described as the Ferrari of second citizenship. Grenada is the only country which hasn't had the need to reduce its price, engage in price discussions, or anything like that. It maintains its due diligence at a very high level. You need to have clean criminal records, you need to have a clean background, you need to submit a lot of forms, and then a due diligence process is conducted to which there's no shortcuts. And that all means that not only will your investment hold value, but that citizenship will hold value, not just for yourself, but for future generations who can also become citizens of Grenada as per the Constitution. So it's those two particular things, hand in hand, which will ensure the viability of your investment into Grenada. And I think the government recently published statistics, Minister, that notwithstanding all the economic challenges we're facing in the world, there was a 25% increase in the first 6 months of this year compared to 2019, which I think is an absolutely fantastic result for an island in the Caribbean promoting its second citizenship. And a lot of that really has to do with the stable political relations that Grenada's built across the major countries. If you look at it, it enjoys warm relations with the United States, the United Kingdom, the Schengen, China, Russia, in that its citizens have travel benefits to these 5 major blocs. So I think a number of countries around the world should be learning from the minister and his cabinet colleagues how to balance such fine diplomacy.
For sure. And, when we talk about the investment as well in this too, the resort itself, I mean, you're talking about this is one of the world's most renowned hotel operators, Six Senses, coming to Grenada, putting their trust in the country, in its travel, in its tourism. They have been winning, the world's best hotel by Travel and Leisure for 3 consecutive years. This is, no small feat here for Grenada, a small country in the Caribbean. It really speaks to the quality of the country here and its people and the investment in the infrastructure itself as well, doesn't it, Mohammed?
No, spot on. And I think one thing which we've neglected to mention is there is a significant portion of Grenada's GDP, I believe it's approximately 25%, which comes from education. Believe it or not, 1% of the US doctors graduated from St. George's University. There's 10,000 people affiliated with that campus. And for an island of 130,000 people, that's a pretty incredible institution, which Grenada holds. But, if you look at it, you touched upon the tourism, you touched upon Six Senses, a wonderful brand, which we selected as our operator. Range, a little bit about us. We're the only developer which is delivered in the Caribbean. 3 years ago to this very day, we opened the Park Hyatt in St. Kitts, which was named by CNN as the best new hotel in the Caribbean, by Condé Nast in the top 100. We opened the Kempinski Dominica in 2019 to similar reviews. So we have a track record of delivery. The rule of law of Grenada, the tourism aspects, the climate, the political system, and the citizenship system attracted us to Grenada. And from an investment perspective, an individual is investing $220,000 with a developer who has delivered, the only developer which is delivered, in a combination, in a marriage between Six Senses and Range. They have to hold that investment share for 5 years, following which they can sell it to someone else who also applies for Grenadian citizenship, and they pay the then applicable government fees. And the original citizen maintains his citizenship in perpetuity. So notwithstanding he has an exit, and all smart investors always ask us, how do I exit before I enter? What sort of yield do I get? Yield is obviously generated from the performance of the asset. So it's inexpensive in terms of the total cost effectiveness of this program. When Cyprus was around, it was $2.5 million or €3 million investment. Malta was about €1 million. So Grenada coming in at approximately $220 for the share plus $80,000 for the additional government fees, $300,000 for a family, out of which $220 can be redeemed after 5 years when you sell your share to another party. That is really a very attractive proposition and a very compelling one. And that's not just my view. That's close to 500 or 600 families which have proceeded with the Grenada application in the first half of this year. Minister, I believe that's consistent with what Grenada's view has been.
Absolutely. If I may jump in here for a minute.
Please.
Mohammed made the point I was about to make earlier, which is that we in Grenada, because we're a small country, we want to attract the best. We are 120 square miles, 88 to 78. I'm told between 80 and 88,000 acres. It means that we have to attract quality. And that is why Mohammed and his and Range are in Grenada, because we want to ensure two things: that people deliver. Because one of the experiences of some of the programs is persons who investors who come and are not serious. We have looked at the track record of Range in the Caribbean. If you go to St. Kitts, you see a hotel, wonderful, beautiful hotel. I've stayed there several times. You go to Dominica, a country I go to quite often. Again, there's Kempinski, the result of Range's efforts. And we have found that in Grenada, Range came in, looked at Grenada, of course, like everybody else, was amazed with Grenada and decided to put down, and not just put down a hotel, but put down one of the best hotels we believe the Caribbean will have. And for us, that is extremely important because, as Mohammed said, tourism is one of the most important of our industries. And therefore, in order to build Grenada, we have to build the tourism sector. And in order to build the tourism sector, we need rooms. But we just don't need rooms. We need quality rooms, because we are placing ourselves at the higher end of the market. We do not have the space for mass tourism, so we go for quality tourism. And Range has brought successes, and I'm hoping that he'll stick around and offer us some more, but that's a matter that we will get to after. But for us, the importance of tourism to our economy is what led us to Mohammed and what led us to Range. I remember when I met Mohammed several years ago, I figured, well, he's just safe. And then he came to Grenada, and here we are. A hotel has started to build, and it's not top because it's started to be constructed. Everybody in Grenada is excited about it. And we expect that over the next few years, our tourism arrivals, our flights coming in from Europe, from the United Kingdom, from Canada, from the US will increase as a result of this hotel and several other hotels that I hope Mohammed will stick around. So we ensure that investors coming into projects like Range are secure, because we look for quality. As I said, the Ferrari of the CBI programs, and Range has the history of the high end. Successes has the history of the high end, so it fits perfectly into the Grenada model going forward with tourism.
You know, as we look forward to the coronavirus vaccine being released, I think, sooner than later, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of people. I've just put Grenada at the top of my bucket list for places to must visit as soon as, everything starts opening up again. I think you're absolutely right. There's going to be a huge surge there for you. And I know a lot of people who are watching right now, they are eager to know more about how they can be part of this investment. And we are going to be adding the email address as well for you in the comments to go ahead and click on and get in touch with Range Developments and their team, which is info@rangedevelopments.com. info@rangedevelopments.com, because I know that there is interest already. But Minister, I want to come back to you and kind of talk about one thing that would be on people's minds. Yes, definitely, investment opportunities are there. What about your family-friendly approach. Talk to us about bringing our family in, because many would be concerned about that. Can I bring my parents in? Can I bring my siblings in, children? How does that work?
In fact, as Mohammed indicated a while ago, when we did a review of our program, I think it may have been about a year ago, Mohammed, you remind me, when Range was coming in, I think one of the things that Mohammed was able to do with us is give us good advice on how to ensure that the program is well placed. And the family orientation of our program is something that Mohammed quite advised us on several years ago. So we have changed our program at that time. We changed the program to ensure that families can come in on the program. The families, the mother, daughter, kids, and so on, sons can come in. And I think Mohammed can give us the details on that because he's more the expert on the details. But certainly, I know the government, for two reasons. One, it attracts people to the program. But secondly, we are interested in getting families to reside in Grenada if they so wish, because of the fact that we are trying to place our immigration point position on quality also. So not only the CBI immigration policy, but generally our policy has that family orientation. Mohammed can give us the details on that if he wishes.
Yeah, spot on, Peter. And if you look at it, I said COVID was an inflection point which made people consider second citizenship, but also children is another inflection point. Everyone looks at providing advantages to the next generation, which they didn't have. And unfortunately or fortunately, citizenship or your citizenship is a prejudice and it can be overcome. All right. And there's no need for the next generation, if from a certain country where they feel prejudiced, not to be able to change that and progress with an economic citizenship. And I think that's what the government of Grenada felt, where they have certain packages in terms of fees, where it includes the main applicant, the spouse, the children. And then on top of that, you can add your siblings if they're above 18, not married, without children, your parents, your grandparents. So it's really designed very well for the Middle Eastern investor family and also those from the subcontinent and Africa, because it needs to be cost effective across the spectrum and to all family members.
Minister, I want to ask you as well about due diligence and how that is met and how you use that to make sure that you do attract suitable investors here.
Yes, absolutely. As I indicated earlier, we do not compromise quality with quantity. In other words, we'd like to have as many people as we can to become citizens of Grenada, but certainly we want to ensure quality, because many years ago there were throughout the Caribbean issues of quality, issues of persons who are not of the right character becoming citizens. And we in Grenada looked at the experience of others. One of the qualities of our program is that we are always looking at the issues and trying to deal with them as quickly as possible. We made a determination that we prefer to get the best, and therefore we do deep due diligence. We ensure that persons who are coming in, of course, we try to work with everybody to ensure that we can get as many as we can, but never at the expense of the program and the reputation of the program. Because remember, if there is one person getting Grenadian citizenship who is of not the right character and background, it impacts on everyone who has Grenadian citizenship. So because of that, persons who are holding the passport can be assured that persons who are looking at the passport when you travel to Russia, to China, to Africa, to Europe, to Asia, that passport is held by someone who has been checked for their background. So yes, we do due diligence. We ensure that the persons who are coming in are properly checked, and if there are issues, we engage in discussions. Of course, if there are issues that we need to discuss, we discuss it, because there may be times when we need to discuss these issues. But at the end of the day, when the decision is made, you can be assured that the holder of the passport is someone who is of the character that should hold a Grenada passport. And certainly the persons who are persons like Mohammed, for example, he's aware of what we want. He's aware of Grenada. It's also in his interest for his business to ensure that we do that. So there's a lot of talk and collaboration. At the end of the day, though, we ensure that quality is assured.
And Sally, if I may interject here, don't just take the minister's word for Grenada's commitment to due diligence. Last week, for probably the first time in a long time, I saw the U.S. government, the U.S. ambassador to Grenada, to the Eastern Caribbean, stood up and she said, I would like to praise Grenada for its approach to due diligence. They use all the protocols which have been established by the various foreign counterparties, and was really commending Grenada's approach, which is unique for a country to be praised for its approach to due diligence under its CBI. And that comes against the backdrop of the Cyprus and Maltese programs being suspended or not renewed. So Grenada, in the Caribbean, 130,000 people, really showing the way to the rest of the citizenship by investment industry and how to run a well-oiled due diligence program. And I think the country must be applauded for that.
We've heard so much about the incredible processes that Grenada takes very, very great care in making sure that they do attract the right investors, the right citizens to their country. But Mohammed, you know, I know that some people might not be familiar with range developments, and they might be watching this and thinking, you know, why should I trust you? Why should I trust range developments with my CBI? So I'd love for you to talk to us about how many people your business has actually helped to achieve second citizenship.
You know, Sally, and that's a very good point. In this business, it's all about credibility and your track record. I've been sitting in this chair now for close to a decade. We're based here in Dubai, in downtown, opposite the Burj Khalifa. So you were kind enough to share our email address. I would say take the extra step, come and visit us. We've been in the same place for a long time. And with the grace of God, we'll continue to be in the same place for a long time. We are the only developer which has delivered on its promises in the real estate sector of the CBI in St. Kitts, Dominica, and now Grenada. We opened the Park Hyatt in 17. We opened the Kempinski Dominica in 19. We embarked on our journey in Grenada in the middle of 19. We started construction in early 2020. We got shut down with the lockdown very early. 2 months ago, we re-engaged structural work. MEP contracts are being signed. We've committed over $60 million in the last 3 months to this project. So we're really putting our money where our mouth is and, again, fulfilling our promises. You see, we are the only institutional developer out there. Building on a beach is not a benign environment in which to do so. There's a lot of stuff which needs to be imported, whether that's labor or items. The supply chain is a logistical nightmare. For this project, we have to import 500,000 items from 2,000 different suppliers. You can imagine what a challenge that is. But we're execution first. We have a very experienced team. I have a business partner who actually moved from the UAE to the Caribbean 4 to 5 years ago, now based in Grenada, and his destiny is to make sure this project gets built, and he's got 4 or 5 decades of construction under his belt. So, you know, it's not a hit and hope strategy. It's an institutional development strategy. We've helped over 4,000 people obtain second citizenship through 1,600 applications. We've built 2 of the finest hotels in the Caribbean, and that's not me, that's Condé Nast, that's CNN. Go to Google and you can see the client reviews. And we work only with the best brands. We're very selective about the countries in which we operate in. And, you know, we hope that this is first of 2 or 3 projects which we undertake in Grenada. We have the land and we look forward to rolling out. And I will say that I've been living in Dubai for the past 15 years. I've seen this town grow, and I've learned a lot from the growth of this town. And it has provided me much inspiration for my business and also many learnings as you see companies like Emaar continually successfully develop. So you take best practice and put it into the countries in which you operate.
Now, the questions for you gentlemen are coming in as we speak. Mohammed got in there rather early. Minister David, if I can come to you. we're getting the question, how long does the application process take? And what are the costs involved?
I will tell you about it, the period, and Mohammed will go into the details of the cost if he might. But it takes around 3 months. We try to do it as fast as we can. It takes as long as the investor can get his documents together, the due diligence can be done. We literally try to do it within, even before the 3-month period. Of course, as I said, it depends on the flows of information from the investor. But that is something, again, that we want to have us stand out for doing without compromising quality, speed, and efficiency. So we've been, in fact, there's a meeting today with the CBI unit and a prime minister to talk about the efficiency. It's that important that the most senior of our government ministers ensures that the program moves efficiently, because as I indicated, it is a pillar of our economy. Our tourism relies on it, our agriculture in the future certainly relies on it. With respect to costing, Mohammed, I'll put that one in your court, because you are doing this every day, and there may be some changes here or there that you may be aware of that I'm not. So Mohammed will take the cost part of it.
Cool, thank you, Minister. So an investor is required to invest the minimum as detailed in the statute of $220,000 US dollars in an approved project, of which 6 census is our development. In addition to that, for a family of 4, there's approximately $80,000 of additional fees, and that includes small, on top of that, there's small miscellaneous attorney's fees for filing the application. That investment is required to be maintained for 5 years, after which the investment may be resold to another individual who's desirous of obtaining citizenship, and the original investor maintains citizenship in perpetuity. So less than $1 million dirhams all in, less than $300,000 up front is the cost, and that's on the investment route.
Get your questions in for our speakers into the questions box. You can type them in as we go. We've got another one here asking, what is the investment security or surety here that we have?
Sure. Is that for me or for the Minister, Sally?
That's for you.
For you, Mohammed.
Excellent. So, look, as we say, past performance is not a guarantee of the future, but I would say it's probably the most reliable indicator we've got. We are the only developer who's delivered. Many people have tried. Many people think, building on a beach is easy, raising capital through second citizenship easy. It's like any business. You have to know your business. And I would say Range is the only developer which has the execution skill set and the capital raising skill set. And that's why we've been successful. And in close to a decade, we will have achieved delivery of 3 hotels when the 6th Sense is open, which is really unmatched by a long way. Money is paid into an account, which is in escrow, which is used to fund the development of the hotel. Completion funding is already in place. We've had a great sales momentum to date, and we're on site, and we're committed significant amount of our own capital to this project to ensure completion. I'd be more than happy to discuss one-on-one all the various risks and all the various mitigants with Mohammed, who asked that question. And that's on the investment side. And on the citizenship security side, the due diligence with the minister and myself really spent some time on provides a security to ensure Grenada's citizenship maintains its value, not just for the short term, but for the medium term and long term as well.
Now, I believe, Minister David, we do have to end up with you. We do need to thank you. You are a very busy man, so we are going to let you go. But I just want to say it was an absolute pleasure to have you here to tell us more about Grenada and its CBI program. And I know that it has a lot of people very excited. So thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to continue with the question and answer with Mohammed. But thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, and I want to thank all of the participants for their interest in Grenada, and please come visit with us, and we look forward to that. And certainly, as I said, the project, the Range project, the 6th Census project is one the government stands solidly behind. We put our stamp on it, and we look forward to having you, not only investing with Range, but also
Thank you, Minister.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Minister. We really appreciate it. We are going to keep rolling with these questions for you, Mohammed. We're working you hard on your birthday here. There's a question that's come in asking what family members are included in the E2 visa program?
Sure, that's a very good question. So the E2 is something a Grenadian citizen can do if they wish to. It's optional, and it's subsequent to the Grenadian Citizenship by Investment application. In terms of family, the spouse can also be included, and children below the age of 21. The main applicant has to work or has to run the business that he's detailed in the business plan, because E2 is in essence an entrepreneurial visa. The spouse can obtain work authorization to work anywhere in the United States. Children below 18 can access the public school system free of cost, and between 18 to 21, subject to proving residency in the relevant state and complying with the university's residency requirements, can obtain in-state university tuition rates, which is basically the same as U.S. citizens. Some of the other benefits that the E2 can provide, you're making an investment in your own business. It's your destiny. If that business makes a profit or it makes a loss, it's through your own blood, sweat, and tears. We can obviously suggest that this might be a suitable investment or this might be a suitable legal counsel to assist you, but it really is your own business. You don't need to be, if you invest in a Starbucks, you don't need to be serving the coffee as per the law, but you need to have being able to have the ability to direct and develop as the legislation states. And typically that means you have to have over 51% ownership interest in that venture. The E2 is a 5-year multiple renewable visa. It's called a non-immigrant visa. Now, each E2 treaty, it's a bilateral treaty between the United States and the country and the beneficiary country. And each treaty is different. And a little bit of history, the E2 visa category is about 200 years old. It was, the first treaty was given to the British when England tried to recolonize the United States in 1812, if I'm not mistaken, but were unsuccessful. And that's when the first E2 visa was enshrined. But, you know, there's 3 or 4 countries which have citizenship by investment countries, which also provide its economic citizens with the benefit to apply for an E2 visa. But Grenada has the most advantages in that it's 5 years, multiple renewable, which none of the other countries have. And if someone on the E2 visa doesn't spend 122 days on an annual basis in the United States, he's not taxed on his worldwide presence, which is really a very significant advantage. Let's say you have the patriarch of a family living in Dubai, the spouse and the children are there. If he'd gone under one of the other permanent residence categories, his worldwide income would be subject to U.S. tax. So the E2 provides a very neat solution for those individuals who don't want to spend the majority of their time in the United States, who are doing this for the benefit of their other family dependents or a true option B.
More questions coming in on that particular visa, the E2 visa. Can it be converted into a permanent residency? And also, would Grenadian citizens be able to work in the US without a visa?
So the E2 would be your entrepreneurial visa, which would provide you the ability to manage your business, and your spouse would then need to apply for work authorization, which is just a process of bureaucracy and form filling, and then she can work anywhere. And really, I think with the suspension of the H-1B and L-1 visa categories by President Trump, Grenada E2 has become a very well-established alternative to people in the U.S. on the L1 and the H1 visa category. Now, there's a lot of speculation. that President Biden will have a different approach to immigration. We hope he does. But in our experience, I've never seen a new administration opening the tap on investment migration. This is a business which is always getting more and more restrictive. And unfortunately, there's so many people with degrees in hindsight saying, I wish I'd done the EB-5 3 years ago when it was only $500,000 and it would have taken me 2 years. Now it's 1.8 or 900,000 and it takes 10 to 15 years based on the country from which you're born. So what I would say is that if you're looking at an immigration strategy which involves the US or involves a second citizenship, it's not a decision which you should put off, because by the time you come to make that decision, you may find what was a perfect solution for you today is not existing tomorrow. Sorry, that was a long-winded answer to your question, but I felt there were important points which needed to be answered.
No, excellent. Yeah, well detailed, very important.
You did have a second limb to your question, which has just slipped my mind.
Yes, Roseanne was asking if in the second part of the question, it was just about being able to work in the US as well. And you've answered that, I believe. There is one here from Muhammad Abdul asking, how much is the timeline to get the citizenship? I think that the minister briefly gave us a timeline. If you can take us a little bit through that process.
Sure. So it's approximately a 3-month process. So once an investor has made the decision to progress with Grenadian citizenship, there is a period of document collection where the citizenship application is compiled in conjunction with lawyers and local counsel. That is then submitted to the unit, who do their independent verification on that individual's suitability for Grenadian citizenship. They typically make a decision within 60 to 90 days. They respond to the applicant saying that in however many percent of the cases, they're delighted to welcome them as citizens of Grenada. Payments are made, and 2 weeks there later, citizenship certificates, passports are issued. Before the issuance of those two documents, the individual is required to sign an oath of allegiance, which these days can be done over Zoom authentication with the UAE consul here or with some commissioner of oath. And Grenada is one of the Caribbean countries which actually has a consulate in Dubai, which is really important because with so many individuals applying for second citizenship from the Middle East, they want to know that there's someone here who can help them familiarize themselves with Grenada, a representative from Grenada. They have a consulate in JLT. Mrs. Benjamin is the honorary consul. Sorry, not honorary consul, is the consul general. She's been here now for 2 years, very active and in touch with citizens on a regular basis, being able to provide all these administrative services which individuals require. So there's that aftercare service as well. I'm sorry, Sally, the line seems to have gone.
There is a consulate here in the UAE that you can access that is there to help if there are any issues. And of course, as we did say at the beginning of the session, the email address is info@rangedevelopments.com. Your team is absolutely world-class when it comes to CBI. They understand the countries that they work with intimately. They understand these processes intimately, and they are able to answer all of these questions because I know everybody's very eager. Just a last question before we end off. I don't see many more coming in, but are there restrictions on who, in fact, can apply for CBI in Grenada?
Yeah, there's some countries which are unfortunately or fortunately on a restricted list. That's just unfortunately the way of the world. So I think one is North Korea, one is Iran as far as Grenada is concerned. But otherwise, the country make an assessment based on the individual's character if you're out of these blanket restrictions.
Perfect, perfect. So really, it is encouraging everybody to get on board with this. This is your opportunity to explore the many incredible benefits of the CBI program that comes from Grenada, as we discussed today. Of course, if you're looking for that stability, the security of a second passport, the tax and international travel benefits, the health and infrastructure, the stunning natural beauty, and the world-class tourism investment, the family inclusive approach, or the gateway to be able to work, to reside, and to study in the United States, Grenada could be your heaven on earth for you and your family. So that email address for you to get in touch is, of course, info@rangedevelopments.com. But I would like to thank you, Mohammed Azari, Managing Director of Range Developments. And, of course, earlier we did have the Honourable Peter David, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Minister for Labour. It has been such a pleasure to have you. And, of course, a big thank you to the team here at Gulf News as well. Thank you so much, Mohammed.
Thank you, Sally. It's been a real pleasure to be here this afternoon. And thank you to the Gulf News team for putting this together and everyone who attended. So thank you once again.
Absolutely. Thank you to everybody who has been part of the webinar today. Do get in touch as well. My name is Sally Musa, and we look forward to welcoming you once again to our next Gulf News webinar.